Hi everyone, cheers to be here in this quite rushed video just before the launch of Tier 5. Just going to do a quick rundown of the trash, what it does, what you need to do, mostly as a tank, but I'll go over other roles as well briefly. So this is just a nice rundown if you want to, I don't know, listen to this on the bus or just have a refresh before the raid comes out. This is a good video for that, I suppose. Thumbs up if you enjoy. Okay, so to start off with, let's talk about the Vindicator. That's the mob marked skull. He does a hammer of justice, which can be and should be dispelled straight away. So if you're healing, well, ideally you'd have a dispeller healing the tank, tanking the Vindicator. So put a Holy Paladin on me tanking skull, and the Holy Paladin can just heal me and then instantly dispel me whenever I get a hammer of justice. We also have the Legionnaires. The Legionnaires do a whirlwind, as you just saw by that mob there. You just want to tank them in an intelligent position. It can be tough because there's patrols and you've got limited room because the entrance of the dungeon is right here. The Squires, Star Squire, these are generally sheeped. If you don't have enough mages, they can be feared as well by warlocks. The Astromancer has a 180-degree volley, at least at the time of the PTR footage here. So the Astromancer is diamond getting feared. So whenever that's not getting feared, or whenever it's being tanked, towards the end of the pack, just tank it and face it away, obviously, to avoid the 180-degree volley, because it'll only volley in front of it. And the Star Squires, they do like the AoE coming down from the ceiling now. It doesn't hit for too much, but in conjunction with one of the mobs being loose and melling someone once, or a whirlwind tick as well, anything else, and it can combo and be dangerous. So I'm just picking up the Astromancer. The Astromancer is the worst mob because the Astromancer his volley hits very hard. Okay. He also does a Nova as well, like a blast Nova there that we just saw. There's also mind controls that go out. The best thing to do with the mind control is to cyclone them, because the player becomes immune to everything. They stop taking damage, and they obviously can't move once they're in the cyclone. So that's pretty much this trash. It's as long as you CC the casters. So again, the hardest hitting mob is the Astromancer if that's loose. Face it away because of the 180-degree volley. Next, it's the two Star Squires. They want to be CC'd because they do their AoE that you can see now. I can't remember what it's called. It's like an arcane rain of fire kind of thing. Rain of arcane kind of thing, Yeah, just assign tanks to everything. Assign CCs to everything. If you are assigned to CC anything, that is way more important than your actual damage, because if within the first 30 seconds of the fight someone dies, your damage means nothing if that person could have been alive full time. Also, there's a patrol going up and down this corridor, and we do end up pulling it. Obviously, at any time things start to go south, you can avoid a complete wipe just by having people run out the dungeon. Also, if you do die during this hallway and combat is still going to be going on for another couple of minutes, you could just release and run back in. It's not a boss encounter, so you can run in, no problem. Okay, so do we kill the patrol here? I think we do at some point. Sorry, let me just fast forward. Anything going on here? Yep, so this is the patrol. It's a marshal and two squires. So the squires, I believe, do a heal, and the marshal does a whirlwind. So as long as people are mindful that they're not going to be stood in the whirlwind, you'll be fine. Very simple, but be mindful that this is a patrol and it will run up and down the corridor. So let's go forward to the next pack. The next pack is more of the same. It's identical to the first pack we did. Easy peasy. And then the difficult trash pack is this one. Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be difficult, but it can be. So we have two of these Tempest Falconers. Now these guys do a fire shot thing that deals a lot of damage. I think they might also do an AoE. I'm not sure. They die fairly easily, although sometimes they have line of sight problems where they'll be attacking you from Allah's room and not come into this room. I don't know if that's fixed since the PTR. Hopefully it is. The real mistakes can occur with this pack. So, well, it's the same pack rather. So you saw where we killed the Falconers. We lost them round here. Easy peasy. And then we killed Skull and Cross, the 2 Falconers. So there's 2 patrols. We've pulled, or 2 packs that patrol. We've pulled one of them. It consists of 2 of the Falconers and a load of the Phoenix Hawk hatchlings. So these are the Phoenix Hawk hatchlings. These do a silence, like an AoE silence to anyone nearby. I should be getting debuffed. There's the silence, 5 seconds. You want to have this dispelled off you if you're the paladin tanking these. Basically, these ads do a knockback and their silence and a threat reset. So it's very difficult. So you just dispel the silence to negate that. You tank them against with your back against the wall, so you negate the knockback. And the threat reset, you just try and pump out a lot of threat. And that's basically it. It's as simple as that, but a lot of people can really struggle with these packs. There's only 2 of them, so you can kind of like brute force your way through. And yeah, I mean, they can be annoying, I'll be honest. So there's the fire AoE in the corner, and you get this debuff. So that's the AoE that they do, the Falconers. Don't know what it's called. It's not that bad. And then again, like, I don't really know what else I can say to help with the Phoenix Hatchling packs. Just take it slow. Make sure you're dispelling. If you're the paladin here, make sure you're constantly dispelled. If you're not being constantly dispelled, someone's messing up. Okay? And if you are pulling threat, let's say that this warlock pulls threat, just walk over into the corner. If you are tanking, you can just hold down the back pedal key or just like strafe into the corner so that if they do knock you back, you never get knocked to the side. When the knockback happens, it's not a case of just one push. It's kind of like a push, 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 push. You know, the mobs really try to rattle you around and to move you. If you backpedal whilst you're stood in the corner or strafe into the corner, you won't get pushed at all. Like, for example, I would have been pushed back every time you saw all the other characters getting moved, but because I'm strafing or backpedaling into the wall, into the corner, it doesn't happen to me. Okay, so next pack. I really like this corner from Private Server days. So Hunter ideally MDs these Phoenix Hawks. They can do a thrash, but generally speaking, they don't do much damage at all. They do a mana drain though, so you don't really want to pull 2 of them at once. And everybody stacks in this corner. Again, if you're melee, you can backpedal, although I don't think it's necessary for these ones. They do a charge, which is another reason why people are stood in front. There's a bug on the, I think it's in live as well, yeah, where mobs will charge, and as they charge the target, they will melee swing as well. So that's a live bug as well as a PTR bug. So really play it safe here if that bug is still present, because you're just going to lose 1 person every time he charges, potentially. So that's an easy single mob there. The Phoenix Hawk. There are 4 Phoenix Hawks in total. Watch me be wrong, but there should be 4. So we've killed 2 on this side. We're searching for a 3rd. We pull a 3rd on the same side. And then we go to the opposite side of the room, and we should be killing 1 Phoenix Hawk. And then the entire room is clear. There we go. Look, I was right. Oh my goodness, I was right. There are only 4 Phoenix Hawks. Sometimes you can lose count or not be paying attention or not know how many there are, and you're just looking around trying to see if there's another one patrolling around. They patrol around this whole top of the platform here. So it looks like we're going for Alar first. Let's go straight to the Alar kill. So there are 6 platforms for Alar. So here's the entrance to the room behind the damage meter. Let's do a little example, a screenshot. So this is platform 6, 5, 4, 3. I'm at 2, and then the one opposite of 6 is platform number 1. That's meant to be number 1. Okay. So it's the so I'm on the opposite side of 5, and 1 is on the opposite side of 6. Okay. So these are the platforms numbered. It just starts at the entrance and goes clockwise around. Numbering scheme, fairly straightforward. So when you pull Alar, he'll own, or it, she will always go down to the same one, I think, every ID. So I think she favors number 2 on the poll. I don't know if this is always the case. I didn't do enough Allah attempts to know for sure. But here you go. It lands at platform 2. Now, there'll be 3 scenarios for Allah to happen at the end. So he's at the platform for a maximum length of 31 seconds, DBM says. So it seems to suggest with the DBM timer that Allah can stay a little bit longer. I find that the timers to be fairly accurate. Allah will either move to platform 1 up here, or platform 2 where the druid is, or go opposite to platform 5 in this case. So you'll see when this timer runs out. Oh, Allah also, like Lurker, Allah ignores the threat of range as long as there's somebody in melee range. Allah is also tauntable. So if Allah goes to the the druid tank at platform 3, the druid can taunt and the hunter pets stay alive. Melee typically won't stay on Allah longer than the first platform. So you see the maximum platform length is ending. Allah immediately goes to platform number 1. So if you didn't understand where platform number 1 is, here's a great example. Also, whenever someone isn't in melee range, Allah will do a flame buffet, which will deal damage to the raid as well as increasing fire damage. So this is the debuff here. One really hot trick that we learned in private servers was Shadow Fiends. We won't die if we don't have a Shadow Fiend here, but the Shadow Fiend, I think, got instantly one-shot and despawned. But the theory is you spawn a Shadow Fiend up here before anyone can get into melee range, and the Shadow Fiend will eat up a melee attack or two, and you won't get as many flame buffets. Also, just to make it clear, again, we had this before where the boss is going to the boss would only go to 3 of the platforms. The one it was at originally, platform 2. Currently it was at platform 1, and now it's going to platform 6. The melee are going to run behind over the top of the entrance here and not jump down. Good. Melee. Oh, one of them jumped down. Okay. 2 of them jumped down. Okay. You'll see that the guys that jump down are going to be late. This tank needs to taunt the boss because all of these melee are going to get... these melee are top of the damage meter. The tank has taunted. Excellent. On one of the attempts, the tank here didn't taunt, and the melee went killed, next melee swing, killed, next melee swing, killed. So you have to make sure you taunt Allah for the threat to persist. And then I know that Allah is only going to go over to the opposite platform, which would be platform 3, where we have our druid, or platform 1, which is the platform he was previously at. Oh, look where he goes. Platform 1, where he was previously. I'm there quickly enough that there's no flame buffet debuff. Excellent. And the melee really should have had a good time just running back and forth. Oh, look, here they are, coming in from behind. Excellent. This is like a best case scenario because the melee have really been able to stay on the boss full time. Hopefully, we might get some ads spawning in a second. When Allah flies to the opposite side, he will spawn ads. 2 little phoenix ads. And these are picked up by the paladin, or the remaining tank. It is possible to tank Allah as a DPS warrior in tank gear. Oh, just a heads up here. Whenever you're going to intercept like this, make sure you have a shield block running first. Just so you don't approach Allah like this, not have shield block, and then get crushed, okay? And that's pretty much phase 1 of Allah. When Allah dies in this top platform area, like Phoenix normally does, it revives from the ashes. Allah spawns from the middle of the room here in the purple circle, and threat reset. So pick up the boss. Again, flame buffet as if she was at the platforms and no one in melee range. I need to be in melee range in order to stop the flame buffet going out. Oh, some of us resisted the flame buffet debuff. It seems I did. Nice. There's little patches of fire that spawn. Move out of these ASAP. They tick very quickly and you will die very, very quickly if you stand in them. They're not the most obvious AoE to move out of, particularly if they're on this transparent pink like glass area. It can be a little bit awkward to see, particularly, you know, with the aggro ring around the boss and stuff like that. So there will be a debuff that she will put on the tanks, which will half your armor. I think it's half. And you're going to get absolutely clapped if you're tanking with that debuff. So make sure that your tanks are vocal, or you have target of target debuffs available. Oh, this lust wasn't very good here. Oh well. When Alar goes into the sky, you want to hug, because like the trash in the second to last room in Alcatraz, or the last room in Alcatraz, with the meteor, it's a meteor that is split damage when you stack. Also, there'll be adds that spawn out of the meteor. So these are the adds that our paladin's tanking, and Alar has emerged. One thing you need to be very mindful of is when Alar emerges from this meteor, she will do a knockback. So that animation that she just did will knock back anyone approximately in this range of the meteor. So I need to be stood on the outside here, and then once the AoE knockback animation finishes, I run in. Sometimes I will taunt Alar here just to ensure, or I do here, that I have Alar still, because she likes to charge like that. That should be a bug, I think. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. That charge was hopefully, well, I was hoping to prevent the charge by taunting Alar. Again, that person did that person die just because of the charge? Yeah, charge plus auto hit. That's the bug. Okay, so yeah, be aware for that. Oh, here's the melt armor debuff. So nothing really happens except, bam, I get the melt armor debuff. So this is the debuff. It looks like a searing pain icon. It lasts for a minute, and straight away, this bear tank taunts off me. Perfecto. Just what you want. And it's copy-paste for the rest of the fight until you bring Alar down. There are some adds which, again, are summoned after the dive bomb, the meteor. Again, these are tanked by the paladin. If you do kill these Phoenix adds, they do deal, I think, 2% HP to the boss. But no, that's up to you if you want to go for the adds or go for the boss. Okay, and Alar's dead. Congrats. Okay, so we're going to Void Reaver next. Got some fun trash over at Void Reaver. This is a Crystal Core Devastator. Hits moderately hard, does some arcane damage. Nothing too noteworthy. Just watch out for threat. These mobs are Crystal Core Sentinels. These ones have a cast ability that deals a lot of arcane damage, like 10k arcane damage, 12k arcane damage. It can be spell reflected. I'm burning time to find out what the cast is called. Overcharge. There we go. So when Overcharge happens, it's a 2-second cast. Healers, or as an example, when I've played Holy Paladin, you cast the max rank Holy Light as soon as you see the Overcharge cast being done, because I was hoping that they both do them at the same time. Apparently they don't do it at the same time. One ability that they do at the same time is this Charged Arcane something. So this is their second cast, the Arcane Explosion thing. We tank them quite far away from each other. As you can see, the second one is really far over here. That's because this Arcane Explosion that's about to occur does a lot of damage to the raid. And it can be outranged, and they do them at about the same time. I thought, maybe not. Well, okay. Well, they can do them, I think, at the same time. So there you go. This is the second one that's exploding, and there we go. So if we tank them closer, and the raid was in range of both of them, there wouldn't realistically be enough time to heal people up without them getting killed by the second explosion. And we'll just wait here to see another Overcharge. Look at this bear tank. He has no spell reflect. So that's, okay, I mean, it's like a 16k Overcharge. So definitely on the warrior, you want to be spell reflecting. It's a good threat as well for the spell reflect. And particularly for a class that doesn't have a spell reflect, you want to time that heal after the Overcharge. Okay, let's move on. We've got another pack of Sentinels, same as it was again with the Arcane Explosion and Overcharge. Then we've got a Devastator, which is the first mob that we had going into the this section after Alar. One thing I would suggest is don't pull this pack into the corridor you just came from, yes, do what I'm doing now. Come into the room. You've got way more space, okay? Loads more space for activities. The Devastator, I think the Devastator has a threat drop mechanic. Just Taunt, I think there's a knockback as well. It's not too bad, and lots of arcane damage. And the Tempest Smiths, these can be CC'd, as you see. They do a Fragment Bomb, which is just a... you can see it in the background. It's like a normal like grenade. It like saps people, kind of. You see the animation. Nothing too bad. It's just annoying if you have more than one up at once. But CCing them is fine. Devastator again knockback, threat reset, just taunt it. As soon as so what you can do is just wait until the boss targets somebody else and taunt if you want a lazy way to just keep the boss on you. You can also face it with your back towards the range camp. So when you get knocked back towards the range camp, when the threat reset happens, you're already in the range camp and you just walk forward and taunt because the boss will be probably running to someone in range. That's a little trick you can try and use. It's not very reliable though. So Tempest Smith is killed the same way as before. It's CCable. And then we get these demons, the Crystal Core Mechanics. These throw out their razor blades. So you can see them going out over there. It's a little AoE attack. These Crystal Core Mechanics heal the Crystal Core Devastator. So make sure that these are not alive at the same time. There'll be a big green beam. It'll be very obvious when they're repairing, and they'll have a cast called Recharge. And again, it's no new mobs, just different variations of them for the pack. So we have the Crystal Core Sentinels. So these ones need to be separated apart because these are the ones with the Overcharge that are Warrior Spell Flex. And you want to time the heal as a healer because it hits like 15k damage. So we separate these as we did in the corridor before the Void Reaver room. We've got the Tempest Smiths, which are being sheeped, the Blood Elf humanoids, and the demons, which again will recharge these robots if they're not CC'd, are being banished. You don't want each warlock to use rank 2 banish all of the time because you'll just run into a scenario where they're always banished and it's awkward to pick them up. Like have one warlock do a rank 1 banish and one warlock do a rank 2 banish, or stagger one of them once to do a rank 1 banish so that they don't, you're not killing all the mobs and then we've got to wait 30 seconds because someone just rebanished. And then it's the same on the other side of the room and it's just the same packs repeated. And then we will be on Void Reaver. Okay, so the easiest way to do Void Reaver is have a hunter or hunters. I think at least on this stage of the PTR, you couldn't, as a hunter, be far away from him to attack with your ranged weapon and be close enough to avoid his arcane spark. I can't remember what it's called, I'm sorry. So the hunters basically just run around the room, not necessarily the room, but run around Void Reaver and get the spark thrown at you and you just run away from it. It'll do AoE damage. Just run really far away from it and you'll never get hit. The most important thing from a tanking perspective is get every single lust in the raid in the tank group and you can't struggle with threat. The way threat works for Void Reaver is just like normal. And then he does a knockback there. There's also a threat drop. So I continue, it's a percentage-based threat drop. So to start off with, I remained tanking because I still had, a decent threat lead. And eventually I'm going to get knocked back a second time. Oh, I lost threat there just with the Feral doing high threat without a knockback. One good thing that I'm very happy about is that the boss does a pounding. This is a AoE arcane damage ability, and that helps you replenish your rage. You can also dual wield here, but for extra rage and easier devastates. The issue is if you're up tanking next and you don't have a shield on, you can die effectively. So basically you only do that if you have like last stand available or you really trust your healers and you trust yourself to get the shield on instantly. I have died on private servers not swapping to shield straight away. You can also intervene as a warrior, the other tanks. Also, you want to straddle the line of mitigation gear and threat gear. Void Reaver hits fairly hard. So you need to stay alive for that, obviously. But you also need to be competing with threat with the other players. This battle shout, we call it, is very annoying to see my threat meter. But the 3 people at the top of the meter are Druid tank, Paladin tank, and myself. This is exactly what you want it to be. Keep throwing the lusts, the heroisms into the tank group, and you'll continue to see the threat meter look like this. And it's just this repeated for the whole boss. One thing I really like to do, I don't know if I do it much here because I'm kind of like pseudo raid leading, trying to like do stuff. When the pounding is coming off cooldown, you want to Berserker Rage. So you take additional rage income from having the Berserker Rage up. Okay. Moving on. And you can see, oh look, one of the Warlocks now has overtaken me in threat. So, and 3 tanks is definitely the safest play here. You can try with 2, but it's way safer with 3. And everyone can, you know, like, this is a pug, and we have 6 minutes left of the enrage timer. There's loads of time left on the enrage. No one should be pulling threat. It's not a threat fight. It's a don't be greedy fight. It's such an easy fight. Just don't be greedy. Like, you could almost auto-shot the boss and kill it without using any abilities at all as a DPS. Okay, so that's Void Reaver down. Nice. We do have 1 pack. Yeah, we do have a pack. I'm thinking, where's the pack? Because I forgot about it in this pug as well. I'm marking these Crystal Core Sentinels, so the mobs with the Arcane Explosion and Overcharge that you spellflect. There's a patrol here. So this has a Astromancer Lord, which does a Dragon Breath, I think is what it's called, which should be dispelled because it disorientates the tank and CCs you. So I pressed the button on my keyboard by mistake. Okay, so he's going to do the Dragon Breath. Like, a hunter pulls threat by the looks of it, and all of the melee get Dragon Breathed and not me. That's amazing. I like that. And he also does a Nova here as well. And these Legionnaires. The Legionnaires do the Whirlwind. Yeah, so these Legionnaires will do Whirlwind. So be careful. When this sheep goes out, there's going to be a Whirlwind. Melee are going to get destroyed. You need to be mindful that Legionnaires Whirlwind. Let's see if they get a Whirlwind here. There's Legionnaire. Keeps getting sheeped. Spam sheep is a really good way to stop the mobs from doing their mechanics, by the way. And the Legionnaires are disarmable. Quite a lot of the mobs that are physical melee mobs are disarmable. So use that to your advantage. Okay, and then we've got the Crystal Core Sentinels. We ninja pull this pack. I don't know if this is going to be the same on retail, but we pull this pack fairly conservatively. But you'll see another pack comes as well. So there's so this Sentinel is stood over here at the top. We pull it, but it pulls a pack also off to the side. Now that's not ideal. What we're doing here, running back. I think we pull it again awkwardly. I just want to check this. If it's not convenient. Yeah, so this is the pack we pull. So we pull this, and this pack pulls as well. So I'd say just pull this humanoid pack on the right first. There are 2 healing mobs here, so these are going to be Vindicators, I believe. Skull and Cross, you mark them and say, yo, these guys heal. They also Hammer of Justice, like the mobs at the beginning. Oh, sorry, they're Squires, not Vindicators. Vindicators, Whirlwind. Squires do the heal. My mistake. So Skull is going to Hammer of Justice the tank. Cross is going to Hammer of Justice the tank. You can see the Hammer of Justice there. And all of these Scryers, there's a Novice Astromancer. So these aren't the same Astromancers as we saw from before. These are slightly different. So these are like little baby ones. And it's a bigger pack to help the pack actually be killable. So you just kind of like AoE it all together. The Squires will cast a heal from time to time, but it's not that big of a deal. The biggest deal is like surviving against their volleys. So they do like an arcane volley. They might also do a fire one as well, which is a lot of raid damage goes out when they are alive. It's very scary. And you want to ignore the Skull and Cross. Ignore the Squires. You know, they don't do anything too deadly. You want to basically, these guys will destroy you if you don't have big healing immediately, or if you run out of healing steam. You really want to just blow them up as quickly as you can. As you can see, it's a battle of attrition. Who is going to die first? Because we're taking big chunks of damage, but luckily they are as well. And then again, on the next mobs, it's the Sentinels, so reflect their Overcharge, spread them for their Arcane Explosion. It's the same pack again, they just are split out a little bit differently. Line of sight them is really nice, so they're all clumped together. Have your Paladin do its thing. Lots of threat, use wings, trinkets, all that good stuff. And make sure that the Squires aren't on the Paladin, because if he gets a Hammer of Justice on him, even for a second or two, I don't know if the mobs can melee. I don't actually tank them because I play a warrior. Hopefully they're not going to get. Hopefully the Paladin won't get stunned. So these Nether Squires can do a mind control. They'll mind control is it 3 to 5 people? I can't remember exactly the quantity, but you can sheep his ads. What are his ads called? Legionnaires. So the Legionnaires are going to do their whirlwind, like all the Legionnaires in the dungeon. The Nether Squire is a new mob that you haven't faced yet. Does the mind control most notably. And because of the mind control, other mechanics can occur. I think that was a mind controlled fear we saw there. So how many people are mind controlled? 3, 4 mind controls there. And a fear goes out. Not ideal. So there are 2 patrolling packs of Nether Squires and Legionnaires. They rotate around Solarian in opposite rotations. So this pack has pulled, but we still have the 2 other Vindicators sheeped. So this is nice because, okay, we have to deal with 2 Vindicators here, but I'd rather deal with 2 Vindicators here and the Scryer than, having the Whirlwind and mobs on the other side, which are currently not sheeped. Okay, so you can see them there. So that kind of works out nicely. So yeah, not too bad. Again, you can disarm the Vindicators just to let melee stay on them longer. The next set of trash before Solarian is are these packs. So these they look like they might be 2 packs, but they are 1 pack. So you got Squires as normal, which will stun and heal. Skull and Cross just tanked by the 2 other tanks, and the Paladin takes everything else. You can do some cool line of sight and misdirections to tank these as a Paladin, but they generally like just running up to the Paladin and not casting immediately. Like you'll see on the pull, they're happy just to walk over to the Paladin. You don't need to line of sight them at all. Oh, that mob did a cast. And that's about it. They're happy just to wander forward and then start doing their AoE. And because our Paladins had a nice lead and they just walk up, you just blast them with AoE. Watch out for their AoE. It's like everyone's doing AoE. It's AoE versus AoE. Tank the Squires. They're spamming flash heals. They die before. The healing isn't too much of a problem that they do themselves. And that's it. And it's just repeat until we get onto Solarian. So with Solarian, there's a couple of things you can do. We're going for the easy tactic, which is have 2 tanks have Arcane Resist gear. So I am one of those 2 tanks with Arcane Resist gear. And then we have our Paladin, I think, on the boss. So for the first few seconds, you can DPS as the Arcane tank, and you really want to, particularly if I'm the only person who can easily do Sunder Armor. We also get a Lust in this group, which isn't particularly optimized, but whatever. So Wrath of the Astromancer, this is the cast from Solarian. Solarian will do it on its target. So Solarian will target off the tank and onto Raffles on here. Wrath of the Astromancer, and this Druid now is going to have the debuff. Okay, so he is a Moonkin. He has now turned blue. Okay, he now walks over to the 2 Arcane Resistance tanks. Okay, the Wrath of the Astromancer debuff he still has. It lasts 6 seconds, and it will bounce over off him after the 6-second duration to the closest person to him. So that's going to be either me or the bear with Arcane gear. Is there going to be an animation for it to bounce? Yeah, it's a little animation, so it bounced to the other bear. Okay? And then this Druid just walks over to like a second spot. So he's got a vulnerability debuff, which increases arcane damage taken. So he's vulnerable to arcane damage now because he's traded it off. You know, he's got long COVID. Okay, whatever. Bad joke. Okay, so now the arcane debuff will just jump to me. See, look, it jumped to me. I've got a weak aura. I'll link it in the description. It's going to last 6 seconds and then jump back to the druid. Okay, and we're going to be vulnerable for arcane damage, which is why we have arcane resistance. Easy. Okay, cool. And then it's going to jump back to the druid. I'm going to get more arcane vulnerability and go back to me and the druid again and again and again. It will always go to the person closest to you. Okay? So if we spread out too much from each other, that's bad news. Okay? I'll go through the add phase in a second. Let's just go through another normal phase. So here's a normal phase. Are we going to get anyone else selected? Oh, we've already had someone move. I missed it. Keep going forward. Okay, so we have a Shaman here. So at some point, a Shaman gets the debuff. He gets targeted. He moves very quickly. This Shaman's good. He's gone blue. Oh, one thing you really want to be mindful of, guys, is don't stand right on top of the 2 arcane resist tanks, because again, our debuff is now like is still going between druid and warrior tanks. Here. If this Shaman stands on top of us, he's going to be perhaps the closest person, and he's going to start taking extra, and it's really hard to get it off him. So he wants to make sure that the 2 arcane res tanks are the closest to each other at all times, okay? And he can just stand off a little bit to the side. Obviously, he doesn't want to be anywhere near the main range camp because he doesn't want it to jump over to the main ranged camp. He wants it to move over to the arcane camp here. So that's why he's not stood right on top of us, and that's critical, okay? So his debuff is going to jump off. It's jumped off. Oh, also, you need to make sure one of ours doesn't then jump back on, like I say, jump back on him, because I think he got rid of the debuff and he's turned blue again. So he's good. Yeah, run away. So now he runs away. So the way that I like to do it is you have the main camp here in the middle. You have the arcane res tanks on the left, and then you have these guys now have the debuff increasing their arcane damage taken. So these guys are a little bit vulnerable. So they just stand off to the side to say, I'm a little bit vulnerable, as like a clear visual. And then you can just run back to the main camp when your debuff ends. Okay, so this is the add phase. The boss will teleport into the middle, and 3 columns of light will spawn. And then we'll get these agents. So you see that the raid is obviously stacked here more or less. All of these agents are going to go straight towards the healers. You drop the consecration and the healers are at the back, and the consecration picks up all the adds. I'm scared to do anything here because again, I want this arcane Wrath of the Astromancer just to go back and forth between me and the druid all the time. When the boss spawns back, you're going to get 2 priests. These will do a heal and I think a renew. Make sure you interrupt the heal. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So interrupt the heal from the priest, kill the priest first, and then go back to the boss. Okay, and that's it. That's basically Solarian. Okay, that's the arcane res strategy for you. And then, is it 20% HP? Yeah, 20% HP. Solarian goes into her void demon, void tank form. And you want to make sure you have a fear ward on the tank. Okay, because there will be a fear going on the tank, funnily enough. And you can just, rotate fear wards, although the boss will die pretty quickly. Like, I'm checking the buffs and probably asking for a fear ward. Again, the Wrath of the Astromancer debuff is still jumping around. Nothing stops. It just keeps going. And it's all about, it's a big DPS race, really, because you don't want to have too many of these Wrath of the Astromancers, even on the arcane resist tanks. We don't stay alive forever. So now one of the arcane res tanks has died, and the buff is just going off to a random person. Okay? I mean, that's just how it goes. You can, and you probably should, soulstone both of the arcane res tanks. If the arcane res tank dies, you obviously lose the debuff stacks, and when you res, you've still got all your arcane res gear on. Nice. Just make sure you get healed straight away when you res from a Soulstone, so you don't instantly die again, and you can just reset your debuffs. Nice. Okay, let's go up to kael'thas Trash. We're nearly done, guys. We're nearly done. We have the Inquisitor. This guy hits moderately hard, does some like Mind Flay, and I think some like Frost spells as well. The Centurions, these are, I can't remember, honestly. This was a lot harder on private servers. Oh, the Arcane Flurry. This can be, I believe, if I remember, Death Coiled. So if you do want to attack it whilst it's doing the flurry, get the Death Coils out. So it can be scared. You can see a lot of people died, melee dying from the Arcane Flurry. So again, that was the Arcane Flurry from the, what was the mob called? Inquisitor? Yeah, from the Inquisitor. So Centurion, he does another Arcane Flurry, so melee again. Oh, this one you can sheep to interrupt the flurry. I'm still wearing my Arcane Res gear. Make sure you swap out your Arcane Res gear, everyone. So we have Blood Knights. These are basically Paladins. I think they do a Hodge and a heal. So you can drag the Blood Knights away from the rest of the mobs. So when you're CCing mobs, you drag them out of dispel range because the mobs will dispel one another. We have a Battle Mage, which does frost spells. Let's see some pulls. So I'm tanking Skull, I think. Pull Skull really far back so that he can't dispel any of the sheeps or the fears. Sheep and fear everything else. We have a Battle Mage. March Square, he's doing a Blizzard. And the Battle Mage is running around. He's just done a volley of like a Frostbolt volley, a Frost volley, another Blizzard. I think that the Battle Mage does hit quite hard when he's not almost CCing himself by blizzarding a random location. There's a Frost volley going out. It doesn't seem to be a 180-degree volley. And then you get the Centurions. Again, as soon as these mobs are out of sheep, it's worth saying on Discord, remember these guys do an Arcane Flurry. Just, you don't want melee to be like, oh yeah, I'm just going to follow the tank and start attacking Skull. Bleh! And then die. No, you just need to be a little bit gentle as a melee and be max melee range and be prepared to jump and run away. Okay? And then just a second Centurion again with the flurry. So it's more of the same. Centurions are getting sheeped. Blood Knights are getting dragged away because they'll dispel the CC. We have Warlock Fears as well. And Hunter Trap as well if things go wrong. Everybody in the raid needs to know that the Centurions do an Arcane Flurry because I think we just lost people there. Arcane Flurry, Arcane Flurry, Arcane Flurry. Dead, 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 dead. Don't die to Arcane Flurry from the Crimson Hand Centurion. Okay? And like, if a Frost Volley goes off when you've taken a tick or two of Arcane Flurry, you're going to be dying. You know, it's... Keep stuff CC'd. It's so important. Like, hopefully at the beginning of the dungeon, people get it through their mind that they need to be constantly keeping up their CC because it's so important. And then this is more of the same, even more critical, into the trash before kael'thas. And then, is there any other trash? Inquisitor, Blood Knight? I don't think so. Oh, we also have this guy, the one that was patrolling earlier. The Marshal. So this is just a physical whirlwind guy. The same guy that patrolled the first hallway when you enter the raid. Okay. So now let's go to our best attempt of kael'thas. Should be about there. Oh, sorry. I thought we had one more mob. We've got two more mobs. Okay. So kael'thas. You walk over towards kael'thas, there'll be some roleplay, and then the first of his attendants will be unleashed. The first attendant is, I can't remember the name. It's the warrior. Oh, I can't remember what his name is. Anyway, he will focus and fixate on one random raid member for like 10 seconds or so. He will one-shot almost anyone who's not a tank. He'll one-shot you if he comes into melee range. He also has a psychic blow, I think is what it's called, and he'll like knock you back and deal damage as well. He also will silence anybody nearby, similar to Shade Varan. And there's a warlock dying. That warlock got knocked. Oh, that's unlucky. The Warlock got knocked and then teleported because the game brought him back into the encounter near the boss, near the attendant, and he gets one shot. Okay, well, there's one shot mechanics. We lost 2 people in that phase 1. If you're progressing and you're wiping a couple of times and people die in phase 1, just reset the raid. Reset and go again. Don't waste combat reses on this. I think this was our final attempt before we even pulled. Sorry, just getting a bit of water before my voice disappears. Second mob is Lord Sanguinar. He will almost immediately use a Bellowing Roar, which is a fear for anybody within 30 yards or 35 yards. I can't remember. So there's his fear. You can MD if you like and just drag him all the way to this tank position. If you are a priest wanting to Mind Flay, you can line of sight near this doorway. Whenever he does his Bellowing Roar, melee, you're going to get feared. Sorry. The cooldown of Bellowing Roar isn't that short, so I can always use my Berserker Rage. Also, if you're tanking Sanguinar in the 3rd phase, you can also use the legendary shield to be immune to fear. So we kill him over there in the corner. We kill the first mob, the warrior, up near the boss, just so that it's an area that's clear. Astromancer Capanian is tanked kind of, over here area, near where she is now. One thing that we were able to do on the PTR was she has a... I can't remember what the ability is called. She'll disorientate somebody. This. Fireball, and then there's no cast. What's it called? Can't remember what it's called. Oh, it's going to drive me nuts. A disorient, and everybody needs to be max range, because then they outrange the disorient from her, okay? And if I stay in close range, I will receive it. Conflag. Thank you, I remembered. Conflagration. So that's me receiving it. You take damage whilst this goes on. It's not good. Also, if you get in melee range, she'll do an arcane explosion. So melee, do not attack this mob, okay? And everybody else, max range. Healers, don't be stood here healing. Be stood here. You'll be max ranging the boss, not max ranging the person tanking. You do not need fire res gear, I think. Don't quote me on that. I think we're doing it without fire res in this video. So she's killed. And the last of the attendants is Talonicus. He throws bombs where his current target is. If you move, the bomb will avoid you, similar to a Blackwing Lair. I would really recommend you take the first bomb if you need rage, or the second bomb if you need rage. Basically, take a bomb anytime you need rage, because if anyone pulls threat of the boss of this Talonicus and a bomb gets thrown into the raid, people are going to die. So really be mindful of that. He also does a debuff on a random raid member called his toy or something toy. The debuff looks like the urn for Nightbane, and this lasts for a minute, I believe, and it will sometimes stun you. So you'll be stunned 4 or 5 times, maybe 4 times throughout the 1 minute duration. So at 30 seconds left of the duration, you can free action pot it, and the last 30 seconds you won't be stunned once, okay? You do not want to kill Talonicus and go into the next phase if you have the toy debuff on somebody critical, such as one of the tanks. I mean, it's basically just one of the tanks. So as long as none of the tanks have the toy debuff, and if they do, at 30 seconds, FAP, and you'll be fine. Okay? When Talonicus dies, we will enter phase 2. Phase 2 is when all of these ads are out. The Cosmic Infuser, this is the mace, and it does Holy Nova to heal, as well as a cast heal. We have the staff, which does a Nova, and I think some arcane explosions, some sort of AoE. Got the Warp Slicer, which is a sword, which does damage, obviously. Devastation does a whirlwind, most notably. The Phase Shift Bulwark does a little bit of a damage reflect. We've got the daggers called Infinity Blades, and we have the bow called Longbow or something. The Longbow does a multi-shot, so you need to face it away from the raid. The Cosmic Infuser does a heal, and the staff does a Nova and some AoE. They're the most notable ones. We kill the Cosmic Infuser first because we want to stack them to do AoE, and the counter to our AoE is the Holy Nova that the Cosmic Infuser does. So kill the Cosmic Infuser first. Grenades are really powerful here. War Stomp is really powerful. They're all stunnable. Good stuff. A lot of raids will lust here because you want to get a nice clean transition. Although you don't need, like, if you've got good damage, you won't need lust here. You can save lust for the next phase. So these are the legendary weapons that you want to pick up. The important ones are the staff. If you are a caster, you want to pick up the staff. It has loads of spell damage, as well as an on use that will make anybody within, I think, 35 yards immune to the disorientate. There's going to be a disorientate, I think, from Capanian, this mob, once you enter the next phase. Although I think it's for the rest of the fight. It must be from kael'thas then, in fact. So it makes you immune to a disorient effect. And if the tank gets disorientated, you're basically CC'd, and it's probably going to be a wipe. So you need somebody to be using /use 14 if you want to macro it. So let's say that you're a warlock and you have a Shadow Bolt macro. You want to do /cast Shadow Bolt, next line /use 14. And whenever you have this staff equipped, it will use the on use of making people within 30 yards or 35 yards immune to the disorient effect. You need to keep this up, or else you're going to easily wipe. Okay, and the same with the healing mace. There's a buff that goes on the healing target, which halves their fire and something else damage. Is it fire and arcane? Fire and something. I think it's 2 schools of magic, which are halved. So this is key to have on the main tank when you're tanking kael'thas, as well as when all these when these attendants are about to resurrect. It's nice to have as a bonus. The Infinity Blades are really good. They're the daggers. These will break mind control, and there will be a mind control. So I pick up a Warp Slicer, put it in my main hand. I pick up the shield. Oh yeah, the shield's quite important as well. So pick up the shield. It has loads of armor, very nice shield, and the on use absorbs a crap load of damage. But the absorb buff duration is quite short, so just be mindful of that. Don't preemptively use it for the absorb in a later phase. So I am going into my position to pick up Lord Sanguinar. I can use the shield to be immune to the fear. Lord Sanguinar also does a thrash, but his base damage is so low that even when he thrashes, it's still not much. So all the ads resurrect at the same time, okay? Our arms warrior, Zoo, says we need the staff here because we're going to get disorientated and CC'd. If all of us get disorientated and CC'd, oh, I get a miss there, which isn't good. Oh, it's because there's no Fairy Fire, improved Fairy Fire on Lord Sanguinar. So that's why the miss occurs, okay? Also, there's a whole PTR bug with the threat reset being very scuffed. I think this is going to be fixed for launch. I don't want to dwell on this too much, but basically, if the bug is in place on live, you need to be close to the ad in order to get the threat reset. If you're far away, you won't get a threat reset on the attendants. So you want to basically maybe have the attendants be killed closer together and have the raid stacked and have everybody have the same threat wipe. Okay, I'm just going to move over to an actual private server video because I want to show you the POV for the last phases. Okay. So some stuff's slightly different. Again, it's private server. Like we've got void zones on this private server. We don't have those on live, on a classic. So I'm picking up the shield on this private server. Moonkin's got the staff. He's going to have /use 14 on his Starfire probably. So everyone nearby is going to be immune to the disorientate. You see the conflag going out. Again, it's a private server, so it's not 100% accurate to what we expect from Classic. You kill all the attendants. So ideally, you have enough damage to kill all of the attendants, and then you go into kael'thas on his own. But in reality, on Classic, it seems as though you're going to have 2, maybe if you're a little bit slow, 3, but ideally 2 of the attendants still up. It's crucial that you have healers pre-assigned to be healing the main tank here, picking up kael'thas, okay? Because obviously I'm going to get destroyed if there's no healer with me. So whilst I'm picking up kael'thas and a couple of melee are interrupting the fireball, the rest of the attendants need to be looked after and killed by the rest of the DPS, okay? So, oh, what happened there? I pressed N instead of arrow key. So we enter phase 4, and phase 4 is just tank and spank. There's a flame strike that goes out on the ground. We'll see it in a little bit. The mind controls have gone out first, so equip the daggers and break the MC. The MC breaks very quickly. Hamstring is very good just to spam on somebody to break the MC because it's a 1 global cooldown, does very little damage, and every hamstring has a chance to apply the removal of the MC. Here's the flame strike. It's quite obvious where the flame strike occurs, so move away from it, move far, don't be greedy, and then after the animation, there's the patch of flame damage on the ground. Okay, again, this is a private server. Please take it with a pinch of salt. Maybe I should have got someone else's POV for this, but I mean, it's the same thing. And it's just repeated. kael'thas will be casting fireballs. They need to be interrupted. There's the flame strike on the right hand side. Mind controls are going out. Oh, the pyroblast. Okay, so kael'thas will cast pyroblasts until you interrupt him. He has a shield denoted by this blue buff, which absorbs, I don't know how much damage it absorbs. It's not much on Classic. You can actually kill, so the old school strategy is the shield has so much health that you need to get through in order to interrupt the pyroblast that the first pyroblast is expected to go off. And in order for the tank, that's me here, to survive the pyroblast, I use the on-use of the legendary shield to have like a big, I don't know if it's 10k, 20k, whatever it is. I think it's a 6-second duration for a, was a 4-second duration. It's this buff here. It's a very short duration, and it absorbs a buttload of damage. Does it say in the combo log here? No. Okay, well, it absorbs basically the pyroblast, okay? And then he'll cast a second pyroblast, and then you kill the shield and you interrupt the pyroblast, and then he'll stop. What happened here is I used the shield to absorb it, and we killed the shield. The shield's up, here's the buff, and we've actually removed the shield because we have good enough DPS, and you can interrupt the pyroblast, and the pyroblast was interrupted. But I used the shield to absorb anyway because it's only got a 30-second cooldown, and that's that means I have more than enough to absorb every single pyroblast. Okay. Also, periodically there are going to be phoenixes that spawn. On Classic, we expect people to ignore the phoenixes, at least DPS to ignore them rather, and you'll just have an off tank tanking and kiting the phoenixes back and forth over here. We'll see what happens. Maybe the idea will be to kill 1 or 2 of them. When the phoenixes die, they'll be dead for a period of time, and then an egg will spawn. Okay, so the phoenix dies. On here, it's instantly an egg. But I don't know if the egg is always instant. I don't know. But you need to kill the egg, or else the phoenix will hatch, and you didn't do anything. You just stalled DPS, and you're no better off because the phoenix respawns effectively if you don't have the damage to kill the egg. The tricky thing is when the pyroblast happens with the shield that you need to burn at the same time as you have an egg. And if you have the wrong call and you say, okay, everybody kill the egg, whilst there's a pyroblast happening and the barrier is up on the boss, and you can't interrupt the Pyroblast. The first Pyroblast goes on the tank. The tank uses the Legendary Shield. I have it on my action bar. And the second Pyroblast is coming out. We've just killed the egg and the tank gets killed. Like, you can last stand and shield wall to survive it. Living Seed is also fantastic to increase your health, to not get one-shot by the Pyroblast. And then going into the last phase, are we up to phase 5 now? Yep. kael'thas will fly up into the room and he'll shatter the ceiling. Really good time for you to regen your mana, by the way. And I'm not 100% sure if there's a threat reset here, but he'll grow in size, and then he'll do a gravity lapse. So he'll throw everybody up in the air like this. And the most notable thing for tanks is there will be some shadowy balls. So there are 3 shadowy balls here. See if I can get a good look at them. So one here, and one here. These will randomly like fixate on people and fly around the room. If you are close to these, they will reduce your maximum HP. As a tank, this is one of the most critical mechanics to watch out for. Because if you're stood next to this, like every second, it's going to like take, I don't know, like 1,000 HP off your maximum HP. So if you're stood there for like 3 or 4 seconds, that's very scary. Because once this gravity lapse phase ends, you're tanking kael'thas, and instead of having like 18, 19 HP, you're there with like 16 HP, and you can die as a consequence. And nobody in the raid should be near these shadowy balls. Okay? Don't fly too high up, because when the gravity lapse ends, you fall. And you will take full damage. But if you go too low, you get thrown really high to the top of the room. So it's a bit of a balancing act. Hopefully you guys have jumped off enough buildings or bridges in WoW to get an idea of the fall damage in the game. And just make sure that you're in a comfortable spot where you're not going to take much fall damage, if any. Okay? And spread out for the gravity lapse. He does like a chain lightning effect during the gravity lapse as well. So stay spread. Also, make sure as a healer, you are healing the tank during the gravity lapse. Because when the gravity lapse ends, kael'thas is going to immediately start attacking with, no break. As soon as the gravity lapse ends, he's going to be attacking the tank rather. You need to have the mace debuff on him for reduced fire damage, because if the fireball doesn't get kicked, the tank will just get one shot. Okay. Similarly, you want the staff wielders to still be using their staff buff. You want, to be watching out for the mind control still. As soon as the gravity lapse ends, all the mechanics happen, and they happen quickly. Don't get lazy. Don't get greedy. Okay. Once you enter the kael'thas phase with all of the advisors dead, it's a very, very easy fight compared to the previous 3 phases that you've gone through. Okay, this is the home straight. Don't mess it up. Okay, whoever's tanking the boss needs to be super vocal when the pyroblast is happening, because you ignore the egg, you ignore the phoenix whenever the pyroblast comes, because you don't care. Because if the tank gets killed, that's game over. On the PTR, there's also some issue with tanks getting MC'd and their threat being wiped. So hopefully that's fixed once it goes live. It's a little bit scary, so you might need 2 tanks fighting for threat. If this is the case, you want the legendary sword in your main hand and the legendary dagger in your offhand as a warrior, and you want to just be hitting devastate, maybe intervening for melee swing, get rage, spam heroic strikes, devastates. But that's going to be scary. And then probably you're not going to do much in the way of damaging the phoenixes. It seems as though the phoenixes move quite slowly on their own, and they slow down even further with Piercing Howl, and they can be kited quite easily. Also, when you get the gravity lapse, the phoenixes they kind of like self-banish, so they do nothing for the gravity lapse, so you don't need to worry about them at all. And then it's just rinse and repeat until the boss goes down and gets killed. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I've been TSW. I hope this video has been informative. I will be bringing more polished TBC content going forward. Again, thanks for watching. Take care. See you soon. Bye.